Hey everyone, welcome back to Life Turns, the place where stories twist in ways you never see coming. Today's story is about family, betrayal, and a gift that changed everything. So sit back, because this one isn't just emotional, it's personal. I had always been the quiet one in my family, the one who didn't talk back, didn't argue, didn't demand attention. My parents loved me, sure, but there was always her, my golden sister, Emma. She was perfect in their eyes. Straight A student, beautiful, charming, the kind of daughter every parent dreams of. And me? I was just there. When I finally made something of myself, got promoted, saved for years, and bought my dream seaside villa, it felt like finally, I had my own light. I wanted my parents to be proud of me, to see that I could stand on my own. I even invited them to visit, hoping they'd see how far I'd come. But instead of pride in their eyes, I saw calculation. Something was brewing behind their smiles. They came over one sunny afternoon. My mom looked around the villa with a fake smile, her eyes scanning every corner like she was inspecting it for someone else. My dad, quiet as always, nodded and said, "It's big enough for a family." I laughed nervously. "Yeah, it's perfect for me." But then Mom said it, the sentence that made my stomach drop. "Your sister and her husband have been struggling lately. Maybe they could stay here for a while, just until they get back on their feet." I froze. Stay here? In my villa? I'd just spent years working double shifts to make this dream come true. I didn't buy it for guests, and definitely not for Emma and her husband, who already lived rent-free in my parents' house. My throat tightened. "Mom, this is my home," I said quietly. But she just smiled like she hadn't heard me. "Family helps family," she replied. "You've always been generous." That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the waves crashing outside my window and thought about all the times I'd been told to share my toys, my room, my opportunities, all for Emma. And now they wanted to take this too? My safe place? My peace? Something inside me snapped. The next morning, I called Emma. I told her I'd heard about her situation. She didn't sound embarrassed at all, in fact, she sounded smug. "Oh, so Mom told you?" "Yeah, it'll be perfect for us. The kids will love the beach." She didn't even ask. She spoke like it was already hers. I could almost hear her smiling through the phone. That's when I realized this wasn't just my parents' idea. It was hers. That's when I decided to prepare something special, something I'd call my gift. It wouldn't be wrapped in ribbons or bows. It would be wrapped in truth. Because sometimes, the best way to open someone's eyes is to let them see what they've been doing to you all along. A few days later, my parents invited me over for dinner. I went, pretending everything was fine. Mom was all smiles, Dad avoided eye contact, and Emma, she was glowing, like she'd already moved in. I listened quietly as they discussed furniture arrangements, school options for her kids, even where they'd put the family dog. It was like watching strangers divide my life in front of me. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm but cold. "It sounds like you've made up your minds," I said. Mom blinked. "Of course, dear. We thought you'd be happy to help." I smiled, that same fake smile they'd given me 1,000 times. "Oh, I am happy," I said. "In fact, I have something special planned for you all. A surprise." Emma perked up immediately. "A surprise? What is it?" I leaned forward. "You'll see this weekend. I'll host a little family gathering at the villa. Think of it as a gift." The room buzzed with excitement. They probably thought I was going to hand over the keys with a toast. I just kept smiling. Inside, I was boiling. But I also felt something else, control. For once, I held the cards. That week, I started preparing my gift. I made invitations, ordered catering, even hired a small videographer team. I wanted everything documented, not for social media, but for memory. Because this was the moment I'd finally stop being the invisible one. On the day of the celebration, the sky was golden, the ocean calm. My family arrived dressed like they were attending a coronation. Emma's kids ran around, screaming with joy, already claiming corners of the house. My mom praised the ocean view like it was hers. My dad stayed quiet, as usual, letting everyone else talk. I greeted them warmly, pretending everything was fine. After dinner, I stood up with a glass in my hand and cleared my throat. I just want to say thank you, I began. Everyone turned to look at me. Thank you for being here tonight. This villa means a lot to me. It's not just a house, it's the result of years of hard work, sacrifice, and loneliness. And tonight, I want to give something back to the people who taught me the meaning of family. They smiled, proud and expectant. Emma whispered, "Here it comes." But I wasn't done. I prepared a little video, I said. A memory lane for all of us. The video started with old family photos, the ones everyone expected. Me and Emma as kids, sitting beside our birthday cakes. Family picnics. Vacations. Laughter frozen in time. My parents were smiling, nodding, lost in nostalgia. But then, the tone shifted. The pictures changed, from smiling faces to moments that they had forgotten, but I never did. A photo of Emma opening the bike I had begged for, the one they said they couldn't afford twice. A picture of her graduation day, with Mom holding flowers that I'd paid for from my part-time job, but my name never mentioned. A snapshot of me standing at the edge of every group photo, always slightly out of focus, half-cropped, half-seen. Then came the audio. My voice, calm and clear, speaking over the images. All my life, I was told to share. My toys, my space, my time, even my dreams. I was told that love meant sacrifice. But I never realized it only went one way. The room went silent. My mom's smile faded. My dad's hands tightened on his chair. Emma frowned. "What is this supposed to be?" she whispered, but I kept going. The video rolled on, showing how I'd worked 3 jobs to save money while Emma's husband quit his job twice. How every time I visited home, my parents asked how she was doing, never me. How, even when I bought the villa, Mom's first question wasn't "Are you happy?" but "Does Emma know?" The next clip showed something new, secretly recorded audio from a few weeks ago. My parents' voices, sitting in their living room. "She doesn't need all that space," Mom said. "Emma's kids could really use it. It's not like she has a family of her own." Dad sighed. "You think she'll agree?" "She will," Mom replied. "She never says no." That's when Emma stood up, angry. "You recorded them? That's insane." But I stayed seated, calm, composed. "I didn't record them to humiliate anyone," I said softly. "I recorded them because I was tired of being erased." The final part of the video showed my face, looking straight into the camera. "So tonight, I have a gift for all of you," I said on screen. "A gift of honesty. I forgive you, but I'm done being your second choice. This house is not a family charity. It's my peace, my independence, and my boundary. And I won't let anyone take it away again." When the video ended, no one moved. The waves outside were the only sound, crashing gently like a heartbeat. My mom's eyes glistened with tears. "You think we don't love you?" she asked quietly. "Love?" I repeated. "Love doesn't take. It respects." Emma scoffed. "So what now? You just wanted to embarrass us?" I looked at her, the golden child, still shining even when covered in shadows. "No," I said. "I wanted you to see what it feels like to be invisible." My dad finally spoke for the first time that night. "You could have just talked to us." His voice was trembling, not from anger, but guilt. "I tried," I said. "You just didn't listen." I walked toward the balcony doors and opened them. The salty breeze rushed in. You wanted to move in here, I said softly. You can stay tonight, but after that, I think it's time we all live our own lives. Mom started crying. Emma looked away. Her husband stood awkwardly, unsure what to say. I turned toward them and forced a gentle smile. This isn't revenge, I said. It's freedom, for all of us. They didn't understand it right away. Maybe they never would. But that night, something shifted in the air, like the tide turning after years of stillness. After everyone left, I sat outside by the sea. The moonlight shimmered on the water. For the first time, I felt light. Not happy, exactly, but peaceful. I'd said everything that needed to be said. The next morning, I found a note on my porch. It was from my mom. The handwriting was shaky. I didn't realize how much we hurt you. You deserve this place. We'll stay out of your way. I'm sorry. I held that note for a long time. It wasn't everything I wanted, but it was a start. Maybe, finally, they'd see me not as the shadow behind Emma, but as my own person. A few days later, I got a message from Emma. Just 3 words, you made your point. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Instead, I decided to really start living. I spent my mornings walking the beach, my evenings reading by the waves. I opened the villa to guests, not my family, but strangers who needed peace. People who reminded me that kindness should never come at the cost of self-respect. Sometimes, I still think about that night. About the look in my mother's eyes when she finally saw me, really saw me. Maybe that was the real gift all along, not the video, not the confrontation, but the truth that had been buried under years of silence. And maybe, one day, we'll find our way back to each other, not as a perfect family, but as real people. Until then, I've made peace with my past. The waves carry the hurt away, one tide at a time. I leaned back in my chair that night, listening to the sea whispering softly. For the first time, it didn't sound lonely. It sounded free. Days passed quietly after that night, the kind of quiet that follows a storm. I thought my family would cut me off completely, but instead, they disappeared into silence. No calls, no visits, no messages. At first, that silence felt heavy, like guilt pressing on my chest. But then, it started to feel like peace. The kind of peace I'd been craving for years. Each morning, I'd walk barefoot on the beach, the sand cool under my feet, the wind brushing through my hair. For once, I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. I didn't have to measure myself against Emma or chase approval from people who only saw me when they needed something. I could just be. That realization, that freedom, was worth every tear I'd shed to get there. But life has a strange way of circling back. About 2 weeks later, I heard a car pull up outside the villa. When I looked out, I saw my father's old sedan parked by the driveway. My heart skipped a beat. I opened the door, and there he was, holding a small bag and a nervous smile. Mind if I come in? He asked. I nodded. We sat in the living room, the same room where everything had exploded just days ago. He looked around quietly, then said, Your mother wanted to come too, but she thought it'd be better if I came first. His voice was softer than I remembered. Older, maybe. We sat in silence for a while before he continued. You were right. We didn't listen. We thought love meant control. Maybe it's not too late to learn. I didn't expect that from him. My dad had always been the quiet observer, rarely taking sides. But in that moment, he wasn't defending anyone. He was just human. I felt my anger fade, replaced by something gentler, understanding. He handed me the bag he'd brought. Inside was a small framed photo, me at age 12, holding a seashell by the shore. Your mother found this last week, he said. She thought maybe it should be here, with you. You always loved the ocean. Something in me broke softly. I smiled through tears. Thank you, I whispered. He stood, patted my shoulder, and said, Give your mom a call when you're ready. And then he left, no big speech, no dramatic exit. Just peace. That night, I sat with the photo in my hands and realized something important. My gift had done more than draw boundaries. It had forced truth into the open. And truth, though painful, has a way of healing things that lies never could. A week later, I decided to visit my parents. When I walked in, the house felt smaller than I remembered, or maybe I'd just grown. Mom met me at the door. She didn't say anything at first. Then she reached out, hugged me tight, and whispered, "I'm sorry." Those 2 words were all I needed. We sat together in the living room. She admitted that for years, she'd treated Emma like she was fragile, someone who needed protecting. But in doing that, she said softly, "I forgot that you were the one holding everything together." I didn't know what to say. I just held her hand and let her talk. Emma wasn't there. Mom said she'd been distant since the night of the video. She feels embarrassed, Mom said. But she'll come around. I didn't know if that was true, but for the first time, I didn't feel responsible for fixing it. Everyone had to face their own reflection eventually. Over the next few weeks, our family started to rebuild, not perfectly, not completely, but honestly. My parents began visiting me just to visit, not to suggest or interfere. Sometimes we'd cook together or watch the sunset from the balcony. There was an unspoken agreement between us now, respect. One afternoon, out of nowhere, I got a message from Emma. "Can we talk?" she wrote. I hesitated, then replied, "Sure." When she arrived, she looked different, tired, maybe humbled. We sat on the deck, the sea stretching endlessly before us. "I was mad at you," she said, "because you made me see myself. And I didn't like what I saw." I stayed quiet. She took a deep breath. "You were right to do what you did. I took everything for granted. And I'm sorry." I could tell it wasn't easy for her to say. I nodded. "I didn't do it to hurt you," I said. "I did it to save myself." We sat in silence, listening to the ocean. Then she said something I didn't expect. "You know, Mom's been telling everyone how proud she is of you. She says you taught her more about love than anyone ever has." I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me, not pride, not victory, just quiet contentment. Before she left, Emma hugged me, not out of guilt, but out of love. "You really did give us a gift," she whispered. "We just didn't see it at first." After she drove away, I walked down to the shoreline. The sun was setting, painting the water in gold and crimson. I thought about everything, the hurt, the truth, the healing, and realized that every turn in life, no matter how painful, leads somewhere better if you let it. I built a small fire that evening and sat beside it, the flames dancing against the twilight. I spoke softly to the waves, as if the sea could hear me. "Thank you," I said, not to anyone in particular, but to life itself, for the lesson. For showing me that sometimes, standing up for yourself doesn't mean breaking the family apart, it means teaching them how to love you right. As the stars appeared, I felt lighter than I ever had. The villa no longer felt like a fortress, it felt like home. My home. My space of peace, truth, and strength. And as the tide rolled in, I realized something beautiful. Forgiveness doesn't mean letting people walk over you again. It means freeing yourself from the weight of what they did. So if you're listening to this story, remember this: boundaries aren't walls, they're doors that lead to respect. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give your family is the truth. This is Life Turns, where every ending is just another beginning.